This is Bryn Meekum here with BoomerSooner.com feature writer Kash Beauchamp the day after the Oklahoma Sooners 21-20 loss at Miami. Cash, what's your overall impression of the Sooners' performance yesterday?
Well, Bryn, I thought the defense was going to have to win this game for Oklahoma with the injury to Sam Bradford, OU's Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, and the fact that Jermaine Gresham, probably their All-American tight end, who's one of the best tight ends in America, without them, they've lost their two biggest offensive weapons. And so the defense was going to have to step up. Oklahoma was leading the nation in scoring defense and played outstanding defense the first three games. And what happened was Miami figured out how to convert on third down. Oklahoma could not convert on third down, and that was pretty much the difference of the game. I felt like offensively that Oklahoma got off to a quick start, that Landry Jones, the quarterback at Oklahoma, who's done a nice job filling in for Sam Bradford, had a great game to start the game. He was really solid. And then Miami obviously made defensive adjustments to stop the run. Oklahoma became pretty predictable play calling-wise on offense when they would run the ball first down, run the ball second down. And I think the most frustrating thing for fans that were watching the game was on third down, Oklahoma failed to get the football to the six, to the yardage marker, the first down marker. And what happened in that situation was a lot of swing passes to the left and the right, and Miami's defensive speed is outstanding, and Oklahoma needed to get the ball down the field to the first down markers on third down. Defensively, I thought Oklahoma's Jeremy Beal was outstanding, probably an All-American performance from Jeremy Beal, and really one of the better defensive performances that I can remember. Defensively, Jeremy Beal knocked down two passes, had 3 sacks, was all over the field, and really played an outstanding game. Offensively, really no superstars for Oklahoma offensively. Then it was a situation where DeMarco Murray, I felt like, had a solid game. When Oklahoma was able to run the ball early, Chris Brown had some nice runs. But you look back at the offense, and it was almost exactly like the BYU game, where the Oklahoma offensive line really showed their youth and immaturity. A lot of holding penalties thwarted Sooner drives. The special teams for Oklahoma was probably a bright spot. It's never good when your punter is one of your best players in the game, but Tressway was outstanding punting the ball, and then Jimmy Stevens looked very solid from a kicking standpoint. Oklahoma has just got to, right now, regroup, develop their offensive line, and they've got to get ready for the Big 12 schedule. Oklahoma can still win the Big 12, but there's going to have to be a lot of improvement on the offensive line, and especially on third down from an offensive and defensive standpoint.
Oklahoma's 2-2 going into the Big 12 schedule. What does Oklahoma need to do to compete for the Big 12 championship?
Well, Ben, I think the first thing Oklahoma's got to do is get healthy. They're beat up. Oklahoma suffered another horrible injury yesterday. Ryan Broyles, their number 1 receiver, goes down with a fractured shoulder, and he's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. So, these are the things in college sports and in professional sports that you can't control. And I don't care how good a coaching staff you are. I don't care how good of players you have around you. When you lose key components to a team to injury, it is very difficult to replace your key players. You can replace role players, but your key players are really what makes the difference between a really good team and a championship team. And, the Sooners' health is going to be the key issue. I guess getting Sam Bradford back has got to be the number one thing that's going to give Oklahoma a chance to compete. You're talking about a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, a guy that completely has Oklahoma's offense figured out. And he is just a tremendous leader on the field. I think you can see there's not a tremendous talent differential between Landry Jones and Sam Bradford. I mean, they're both tremendous athletes. But when you have the complex offense that Oklahoma runs, the experience it's everything for a quarterback. Getting healthy is the key. And then, once again, Oklahoma's defense is going to have to win a Big 12 championship for Oklahoma. You're just not going to have the offensive production, the 60-point production that you had last year with an offensive line from Oklahoma that was tremendous. Probably the best offensive line in school history. Huge drop-off in the offensive line. So, Sam's going to have to be a different type of quarterback. He's going to have to more methodical marches down the field. And then the main thing is to try to keep possession of the football where Oklahoma's defense can stay fresh. I feel like Oklahoma on the defensive side, they've got to make improvements on stopping teams on third down. The first two losses to BYU and Miami, third down conversions were a thorn in Oklahoma's side. And Oklahoma's got to step up on third down on defense and just play a more consistent game defense.
Cash, what do you think Oklahoma's chances of winning the Big 12 South are at this point?
Bryn, right now it doesn't look good. You've got the University of Texas that is in the driver's seat going into the Big 12 championship schedule. And, Texas is going to be the team to beat, obviously. Oklahoma has a tough schedule. After the Texas game, we have Baylor coming up next week. Baylor has lost their starting quarterback, Robert Griffin Jr., who's probably one of the best players in the country, young quarterbacks in the country, a dual-threat guy. He's out with a torn ACL. Gives Oklahoma a lot better chance to compete in that ball game. And then, of course, you've got Texas. It's going to come down, as always, to how Oklahoma plays against Texas. And when you're looking ahead to Texas, when you get to the Oklahoma-Texas game, a lot of times the best team doesn't win that ball game. There's a lot of emotion. It's a huge rivalry. Turnovers, crazy things happen in Dallas, and it's a tough game to handicap just because of all the emotion, and it's a rivalry game. And we saw a few years ago when Oklahoma State ended OU's national championship dreams at Norman, what a rivalry game can do. So the chances for Oklahoma are not near what they were when they were healthy with Jermaine Gresham, with Sam Bradford. But anything can happen in the Big 12 South, but Texas is in the driver's seat right now.
BoomerSooner.com is brought to you by Billy Sims Barbecue. It's not just barbecue, it's Boomer Q.